Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order at 7:54. Our apologies for the technical error. Councillor Race, you had requested to speak.
I'd like to move to extend.
Councillor Race is moved to extend at 7:54. Council, any discussion? Seeing none. Council, Jen, there we go. The motion is that committee extend the committee of the whole meeting past 8 p.m. Council will call the question. All those, pardon me, if you can vote electronically now. And that is carried 6-1 with Mayor Nissen against. And we will extend, or we are given the authority to extend. Sorry, administration, we will try this again. Item 5.4, the utility bylaws.
Okay, council, I'll restart. We have three bylaws in front of you tonight, all in draft form, to get your comments in case you want to make any changes before they come back to regular council. The first one is the water bylaw. The second one is our wastewater bylaw, and the last one is the rates and fees changes that would go along with those bylaws. With these bylaws, we have taken into account a number of the previous directions and have incorporated them in there. I will attempt to summarize the ones that I think are most important. So for our manufactured home parks in Hinton, we have added the ability in here where the owners of the manufactured homes could get the utilities in their names. There will be a meter in each manufactured home, and an additional meter would be installed on property line, and the owner of the lot would get a bill for the difference in water between the metered water in the residence and the if you're looking for where that is, it's in 11.2.2. We'll get you in the section of the bylaw. We had a question previously about owners who have rental properties wanting the renters to be able to get the utility bills in their names. As we research this with other municipalities, the common way to handle this is to actually allow the owner to request a second copy of the utility bill and have that sent to the renters. Therefore, if the renter falls behind on the bills, it's still the responsibility of the owner to make good on those bills, and it still gives us the ability to place unpaid bills onto the tax roll. So that's how we have proposed addressing that raised issue in here. On bulk water, we are changing to only have one rate. There won't be, we're suggesting moving away from having a commercial and industrial rate and a homeowner rate. Overall, it still should work out well for the homeowners in that we're also recommending that we get rid of the flat rates so that people will only pay for the water they take. The price per cube is higher, but when you factor in not having to pay the flat rate, it should actually work out for them. We have also added the credit card reader so that people can buy water without having an account, and that again would be at the same one bulk water rate. Bleeders, we have talked about it with council before. We've also talked about it internally with administration. This was a very tough topic. And what we are putting forward tonight is that the existing bleeders that are already registered with the town, which there are about 185 of, we're suggesting that those bleeders would be reinstalled as part of the meter project, and we would put those 185 before the meter and not track the water. Therefore, people would not be charged for that water for those bleeders. And the reason for that is if the bleeder is there to protect town infrastructure, it makes sense not to charge people for it. If the bleeder is there to protect their own infrastructure, they probably should have to pay for that water. The problem becomes is we don't have that history. And it would become incredibly complex to try and determine that. So I think it would be far cleaner and create a happier population if we just grandfathered in the 185 bleeders we already know about. It would also prevent an administrative nightmare, trying to figure out how much water to subtract from the bills and those kinds of things. So when we weighed all those pros and cons, this is what we've settled on as a recommendation. The proposed bylaw is structured that any new ones, we would investigate, hey, what are we trying to protect here? And any new ones, the only ones that would go before the meter would be ones that are protecting town infrastructure for new ones. We have added the ability for water restrictions. In the last couple of years, we have had a couple of cases where we have put out strong suggestions when it comes to water restriction, but we didn't actually have a strong bylaw to be able to enforce water restrictions. So we've added those abilities. We have also added what's in the bylaw in regards to meters. Because we're moving forward with that, as well as just the writing about the new rate system being the flat rate plus the variable rates for the billing. On the sewer bylaw, it is a much shorter bylaw. We don't need to have quite as much in there. We basically, the changes from what we're currently doing today is changes for new rates. One thing I want everyone to be aware of and sure of is that you will be billed for water the same volume as what you are, or you'll be billed for sewer the same volume as what you're billed for water. As we looked at other municipalities, some municipalities only bill 80% of the volume. Others do 100%. But really, at the end of the day, it matters what you set the price at. Because if you set the price 20% higher and then only charge 80% of the water, it comes out to the same number. So if you're concerned about, well, you know, not all the water makes it into the sewer, there's no way to measure it other than the water coming in, and it creates an administrative burden to try and say, okay, well, we're only going to take 80% of it. It's just easier to say it's this. We're going to bill for the same water leaving as what arrives. But if you want to, you know, the control you have is on how you set the price. And so whether you set, 100% of one price or 80% of a different price, you can accomplish exactly the same thing with how you set the price. In the rates and fees bylaw, we have a table with dates where the pricing will come into effect. Those dates are based on what we think we can achieve in getting the water meters installed, and they match what was brought to you before at committee. So there shouldn't be any surprises there. And then there is also fees and charges in there as well. And then as a last review, when we realized we missed one fee that we'll be adding in there when we bring it back to council. We missed the fee for a water reconnect fee. If someone chooses to no longer get bills and then they come back and want to hook back up utilities, there has to be a fee applied for doing that. You don't want people trying to turn off their utilities for 1 month and then turn them back on. And do things like that. So there needs to be a fee, and the bylaw talks to a fee. We just missed including it in the rates and fees. So that'll be corrected when it comes back to council. With that, I'll take any questions.
Council. Councillor House.
Yeah, I'm just interested in the outdoor water use restrictions. I see the stage 1, 2, and 3. I guess what is the incentive to do that? Because I went to Schedule A and it references the permitted activity shall be those referenced in Schedule A to this bylaw. But is there any penalties or anything that if people don't comply with the restriction? Because I couldn't find that on Schedule A.
Through the chair to council, I think that so those would come into effect, we put them on as needed, they get more restrictive as we go up in stages.
Right.
But there is penalties, I believe, in the rates and fees.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find them. I was looking for.
Yeah, the penalties is in the rates and fees bylaw.
Okay. This is
500, 1,000, 2,000.
what page is that?
It's 251.
If it's in there, I apologize. I just didn't see it. And if Councilor, I trust Councilor Taylor that it's in there. So thank you. Okay, no, that answers that question. Thank you. And I move. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor?
Well, no, I just.
Oh, just a response to that? Okay. Council? I guess I have a question. When I was doing some comparisons on other communities, and I pulled up and I realized the size is different, but I just wanted to find an easy to find bill as an example. So I was looking up the city of Calgary, and their cost per cubic meter for a residential metered customer for 2024 was $1.46 per cubic meter. And then in 2023, it was $1.42. So reasonably steady, pretty close. And then when I look at our fees and rates, like I just try to get a feel for comparisons. So when I looked at page 6 of 8 under the draft fees and charges bylaw, and if I'm misreading it, please let me know. For water in 2026, and I'm assuming this is sort of after we've made that transition over to meters, the anticipated cost, or pardon me, the projected cost for a customer per cubic meter is $3.25. So for myself, I looked at that and I was like, geez Louise, that's over twice as much as what you would be paying as a resident of the city of Calgary. Can you speak to that and what maybe some of the other comparative rates are with other smaller communities? Are we in a ballpark? What's going on?
Through the chair to all of council. So we went through quite a bit of that when we were talking at length previously. The short answer is there is a huge range throughout Alberta when it comes to the cost of water. As you get into the bigger cities, your costs will be lower because it can be because you're supplying a larger volume. So I think using comparative size towns is, and that's sort of what we showed you in the past. These water prices tend to go in waves. When was the last time we looked at our rates? It's been a long time. So it's like when you increase, you kind of pass a bunch of people and then they pass you later, depending on when this is looked at. I can tell you the community that I came from is close to $7 a cube, and after 20 cubes, your rate doubles.
Council? Council, and no one else in queue? Councilor Haas?
Yeah. So I just want to clarify the recommended actions is bringing all both the draft water utility bylaw, oil bylaw, and rates and fees bylaw. That encompasses all of those bylaws, correct? Okay, so the fact that it's first reading, I'm gonna move the committee reach consensus to direct administration to bring forward the utility bylaws to council for first reading. And if I can quickly speak to it, I mean, it's first reading. We've already had a lot of public consultation, obviously. This is another opportunity for the public to take a look at it and give feedback on it. And then we can, move forward at that time, with any recommendations. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, any discussion on that? Seeing none, then we will call that to question that committee reach consensus to direct administration to bring forward the utility bylaws to council for first reading. Council, if you can please vote electronically now. And that is carried unanimously. Council, anything else on that particular item? Seeing none, then we are on to item 5.5, letter of support Hinton search and rescue. Hinton?
Thank you, Chair. So, Hinton Search and Rescue has reached out for us. They are planning on putting forward a grant application for a training activity, which the town would be involved with as well, for about $150,000. So they have requested a motion from council that council approves a letter of support for Hinton Search and Rescue's grant application.
Council? Mr. Mayor?
I'd like to make the recommended action.
Care to speak to it, Mr. Mayor?
Sure. This initiative by Hinton Search and Rescue sounds like they're seeking funding from the Red Cross to do a large scale province-wide sort of search and rescue exercise here in the community, bring a lot of first responders and people to our community. And it sounds like it all came up because of a lot of the great work that they've done and our community has done with the fire response in the last couple of years. So I'm absolutely in full support of this. Thank you.
Council, any discussion on it? Seeing none, we'll call the question that committee seek consensus to endorse the letter of support for Hinton Search and Rescue for the Red Cross grant application. Please vote now. And that is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. Any further on that? Seeing none, we will move on to item 6, reporting council reports. Start on the far side of the table with Councillor Race. Councillor Race.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Taylor.
Nothing.
Mr. Mayor.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Chambers.
Attended the AGM portion of the museum last Wednesday. My first little snippet with them, and that's super.
Councillor Haas.
I too, as the alternate, I attended the AGM, and I'm happy to say we have 2 new board members also joining the board as well. So, I believe a very generous donation has been given also to the museum for replacement of the roof. So that's a very generous donation. I'd like to say who, but I'm not sure if that's public yet. So we had a library board meeting last night, and everything's moving forward like usual, and we're continuing. We'll be back at point for service discussion. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Oskasha.
Yes, there, Thursday last week, we had our first Youth Advisory Council meeting with the new youth council. We have to meet all the new members and we'll see the returning members again. Nothing much of importance to report to council. It was basically a get to know everybody meeting, and looking forward to some interesting things coming out of youth council. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Race.
Yeah, my apologies, I don't know how or why I forgot this. Last Thursday, we did attend the strat planning for community futures in Edson. Excellent day, and then drove home to attend the meeting. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. CAO.
Thank you, Chair. I've included the action pending list if there's any questions on that document. If not, I don't have anything.
Council, anything on the action pending? Seeing none. Council, we do have a closed session item. Council. Oh, sorry, nothing to report, Council. Thank you. Councilor Hawes.
I had to move to go into closed session.
Thank you very much, Council. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll call that to question. Please vote electronically now. And that is carried unanimously with Councilor Race voting physically in favor. And we will adjourn briefly, or probably not adjourn, we will break briefly while we set for closed session.